Yo guys, what is going on? Got a yellow hybrid deck profile. Despite what it looks like, I am actually playing yellow hybrids, and this is one of the most fun decks I have played in quite a long time. Very competitive deck as well. I think it's definitely one of the decks to beat in the BT7 format, just because of how versatile it is. It has access to so many recovery plays, lots of really powerful tamers like Zoe as well as TK, and then of course really crazy removal cards whose name I will not attempt to pronounce, but you guys will see which one I am talking about. But let's go ahead and get into it. So for the Digi-Eggs, this is a yellow-purple mix deck, mainly because you don't really need your Digi-Eggs to be yellow despite you playing like a yellow hybrid, right? So I'm playing 4 copies of Demi Meramon. I think either this or Xiaomon, the one that gives retaliation, are the correct choices for this deck. I value this a little bit more just because of the consistency, but I can definitely see Xiaomon being relevant, especially because if you like swing a Tapirmon into one of your opponent's Digimon, if you got 10 or more in trash, then that's not only a plus off the draw, but then you also get to take out something, somewhat of a threat on their field. So anyways, regardless of how you do it, purple eggs is the way to go for various reasons. And then the first reasons being, of course, because it boosts your consistency. Now, since I'm playing 3 copies of Tapirmon as well as 3 copies of Gazimon, so not only do I have a consistency card in the form of Tapirmon that you can just like swing its security, and you really would like it to die. So taking out a security card and potentially getting a draw 1 if you do hit something more powerful than it, and then also having access to the memory choker in the form of Gazimon, because as we all know, yellow does not actually have their own memory choker. So this is like advantage 1 to running the purple package. Gazimon is just so good against so many decks, mainly because basically every deck is playing Pokemon. Not only that, but then against decks like Lilith that just really abuse the fact that they don't really need tamers to gain memory to do their plays. I think every deck that can play memory chokers this format like needs to play probably at least 2 or 3. You could definitely max out on Gazimon. Going into the set 7 format, side decks are becoming kind of a thing. I'm not sure if that'll stick around, but Bandai is testing them out, so it's potentially you could like side the 4th Gazi if you're not maining it. So that is it for kind of the purple level 3s, and then for the other level 3, just playing 3 copies of Bokomon. I wanted to fit in 4, but the room in this deck is quite tight, and you already have so many other consistency cards like Zoe and TK that can search through your security and grab whatever combo piece you need. And I think that's one of the things I really enjoy about this deck, is the fact that it is so consistent, especially because you've got Bokomon, who's usually a +2 whenever you play him. He's got the on-play where reveal top body cards of your deck, add a hybrid as well as a tamer amongst those cards to your hand. Those are not color restricted, so it can basically go in any color deck, which is nice because I am playing multiple colors of tamers in this deck. So that is going to do it for the level 3s. And then for the level 4s, of course, we're playing the hybrid package. So start off, we got 4 copies of Kazemon and then 4 copies of Zephyrmon as well. So these guys are kind of the main focus of the deck. Yellow hybrid is very strong because you've got access to just many different ways to finish off your opponents. You've got 8 finishers here in tandem with all of your tamers, so you can leave the tamers on field. They don't have to really interact with your opponent's card effects. They're pretty safe, and then you can just go into a Zephyrmon or a Kazemon, being able to deal damage with your opponent that way. And then of course the best card in the deck being able to set up for Jet Sylphimon, and that is why I think yellow hybrid is so strong. Kazemon is a vanilla. Zephyrmon has the effect where when you digivolve her, you can give your security Digimon plus 3,000 until the end of the turn, which can be relevant sometimes, and then she is 6,000 as opposed to Kazemon's 5,000. But the real strength of this deck lies in Jet Sylphimon. In fact, and if you've been paying attention to the Japanese meta at all, a lot of people have been calling for it to be like limited in some capacity, just because being able to not only evolve for 1, because Jet Sylphimon has this stipulation where if you're evolving on top of a Digimon that has a tamer in its sources, you get to evolve it for a 2 reduced cost, so a 1 cost overall. So evolving an ultimate for 1 is already really insane on paper, right? But then also the fact that if you've got then a hybrid in its sources, you get to then recover 1. So basically, to fulfill like both conditions, you need like a hybrid on top of a tamer, which is basically what you're doing. You can't really do it any other way since you don't play yellow level 3s in this deck. But Jet Sylphimon is just such a powerful card because of the spam ability of it, because of the recovery, because of the low cost. It's just crazy. So that's gonna do it for the hybrid package. And then I'm also playing one extra yellow level 5. I'm playing one tech copy of Yellow Rise Greymon. So this guy I like a lot. I'm not playing the Shine package in this deck. I have tested it out a little bit, and the issue I have with Shine Greymon, as far as like main decking it at least, is just that you're not playing enough tamers to simultaneously set up for a Shine Greymon and attack and go into like your Jet Sylphimons and stuff. The problem is that you need to keep tamers on the field for like a Shine, but then you also need to digivolve your tamers to get like Jet Sylphimon and stuff like that. So it conflicts with each other a little bit, but I definitely don't think Shine is like a bad tech option. Like, I'm not saying that version of the deck can't work, but I think the more streamlined deck without it is probably the way to go, at least for the beginning of this format. So then one Rise Greymon, just because he can play you your tamers for free. He doesn't get the on-play effect, but this does also give your Digimon security attack +1 if you've got 3 or more yellow tamers, so it can give something like Seraphimon an extra check on top of his already security attack +1. So I think it's a really, really cool just tech card to have, especially because sometimes you really want like another level 5. You're only playing 4 in this deck, so sometimes you do need another one. And then for the level 6s, playing 2 copies of BT1 Seraphimon and then 2 copies of the promo Seraphimon. So can I just say, I am absolutely loving the fact that I can play these guys in a competitive deck. Now, Seraphimon is one of my favorite Digimon, and just being able to play this guy is just so cool. So first of all, the BT1 Seraphimon has got the 1 Digivolving recover +1. They both actually have that same effect. The only difference between them is then this one gets security attack +1 if you've got 3 or more security cards, which is pretty easy to attain. A lot of times you can honestly get to like 6, 7. I've even been to 8 security in a couple games before, just because you can go like Jet Sylvie recover, Seraphimon recover, and then being able to like swing, check multiple cards is really important in this format, just because aggression is always nice, and especially against the mirror match, it's definitely decent to have. The only thing that can really stop you in security is like a Gaia Force, not Gaia Force, a Wyvern's Breath or something like that. And then this Seraphimon has the effect where, of course, on Digivolve recover 1, he is a 4 to evolve, but the other stipulation is that if he is deleted, you get to then recover 1 again. So this guy most of the time gets you like 2 recoveries. If he doesn't, he'll get you the recovery on evolve, and then your opponent will just be like afraid to destroy him. So then you can even like set up for Suzanomon plays if you need to like just hard evolve that, because this guy sticks around so much. And then being 11,000 I think is really important, because most lists are playing this one. So in the mirror match, you can swing over the BT1 Seraphimon, you can swing over like every other hybrid level 5. So I think it's pretty essential. Also, I do want to mention that originally, and a lot of other lists are playing Dynasmon as opposed to the Seraphimon. I don't think that's incorrect. I think this is usually like interchangeable with Dynasmon. Dynasmon is another really great option. One, because it boosts consistency, but then also 2, because it also recovers more than 1 in most scenarios, because if your opponent doesn't have a way to out it, they'll just keep swinging at you, and you'll constantly just recover 1. The thing I don't like about Dynasmon is that you need to be at 3 or fewer to trigger that recovery, and then if you're doing it like within the first couple turns, this is much better, because then you don't have to like trash a security card and then not get the recovery like with Dynasmon, right? So this just indiscriminately recovered 1, so which is why I like it. And then for the level 7s, just playing 2 copies of Suzanomon. So this guy is absolutely insane in this deck. So this deck has a very, 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 very grindy matchup, and a lot of the times you can go through it like most, if not all, of your deck in like any given game, especially in the mirror match, right? I'll warn you guys, if you plan to play this deck, know that the mirror matches take quite a long time, okay? And this is especially important in the mirror matches. So he's got a couple of effects here. The first one being you can digivolve him on top of a tamer, as if that tamer was a level 6 Digimon for his evolution cost, which is a 7, by returning 10 cards with hybrid, or tamers from your hand and or trash to the bottom of the deck. So it does a couple things there. One, it resets your deck, basically letting you preventing you from decking out, and then simultaneously letting you draw into all of your hybrids, your Zoes, and like stuff like that again, so you can potentially like delete something, swing a couple times, and go for a hybrid finisher again. And then having two of them like lets you, of course, do that more than once. And then if you put one security, you don't have to despair because you'll at least have the second one. I'm honestly even considering like siding a third one for potential mirror matches. But anyway, so that's like the first insane effect. He's like a Pot of Avarice that you get to just put everything back. And then the other effects is one Digivolving, you just delete anything. So he's got like the Omniwan effect where you just pop something. And then security attack +2. You heard me, not +1, +2. This guy checks 3 cards whenever you swing. So if your opponent doesn't immediately answer this with like a Wyvern's Breath or a Suzanomon of their own, or like a Guy Force or whatever, they're losing 3 of their security cards next turn. And the fact that you can just slap this on top of like a TK or something is really, really crazy. You usually almost never put it on top of like a Seraphimon or something. But anyway, so enough good things about that card. It's just crazy. So then now for your tamers and option cards, playing 4 copies of TK Takaishi. TK is, of course, one of the best consistency cards in the game. We've known this for a while. And then especially in this deck, just because you're playing some yellow cards and you get to not only get his, search effect and then recover one, but then you can also, if you got like multiples, you can just evolve on top of it for free. So the nice thing about playing yellow hybrids is then anytime your opponent like attacks and you play these guys from your security for free, you not only get the on-play effect, but then you can also just treat it as like a free level 3 by evolving over the following turn. Okay, and then for the new additions, we've got 4 copies of Zoe Orimoto. So Zoe is basically you're playing eight TKs, right? So we've got what she does basically is you get to search your security for any hybrid or 10 warriors. So she searches like all your Jet, Sylphimon, Zephyrmons, and Kazimon. So that's 12 cards in the deck that she searches. And then she is unlike TK in the fact that you don't actually have to take something. It's a May effect. So unlike TK, where like if your opponent hits a TK in security and then like you don't have a yellow card, you have to take something else and you don't recover. With Zoe, if they hit it and you have like no targets, you just like leave your security alone, like shuffle it. So Zoe's really good for that fact. And then she's also got an inherited effect, which is cool, that your security Digimon gets plus 3000 DP, which is again a nice effect, but it's honestly like one of the weakest of the inherited effects of all the Frontier Tamers. But her on play is so good, like it doesn't even matter. So being able to have 8 consistency cards on top of like your Bokomons, your Tapirmons and stuff just makes this deck very, very powerful. So Zoe's really, really great. And then of course your other really powerful tamer, Yellow Tamer, 4 copies of TK and Kari. This is simultaneously really good and simultaneously kind of bad card because it requires you to have fewer security cards than your opponent, which a lot of the times, because you're recovering so much, at least if you're not playing the mirror match, you're probably going to have more. So more often than not, I find it like not doing as much, but I still think you have to play it because the second like your opponent swings at you, it basically like deters your opponent from like going really aggressive, which is what you want, because if they do go too aggressive, then you gain a bunch of memory, but if they don't, then you can slow them down, match your pace, and then just take them off. Like take them out bit by bit. So TK Kari is really good. And then the effect to like suspend it and then like minus 1,000 something comes up a couple times. You can, if you got a couple of them on field, you can take out a Bokomon or a Gazimon or something like that. And then for the last tamer in the deck, 4 copies of Kari Kamiya. So this is the Ice Wall of the deck. 4 copies of this. 1 because it's a purple source, but also because it is another card that prevents your opponent from being too aggressive, making it so that your opponent realistically, like if you got 2 or 3 of these on the field, your opponent only gets like 1 or 2 swings that turn because they're just going to constantly lose memory, and there's no way to counter this. Like Gazimon doesn't stop this because it's a tamer effect, right? So Kari is just absolutely crazy, and the reason why is because we are playing 4 copies of Schwarzlersatz, I think. So if there's anyone in the comments who knows how to pronounce this, please let me know. But anyways, 4 copies of this card is absolutely crazy. It's a purple card, hence why we're playing the Karis as well as the purple sources. This is probably the best option card in the format right now. It says for each Digimon with hybrid in its traits and each tamer that you have, delete a level 5 or lower Digimon. You heard me right, level 5. So it basically, against any other hybrid matchup, unless they've got like an Ancient Beetlemon stack or like a Suzanomon, it most of the time clears the boards. So it's just a really, really powerful blowout card, especially if you've got at least like 2-3 tamers on field. So this is just insane in security. It's insane to activate from hand. Only a 6 cost also. So if you start start with your turn with 3 with TK. You can just play this, pass your turn to 3, and like wipe your opponent's boards. And then the last 2 cards are going to be 2 copies of Wyverns, but I just wanted like extra removal and something else in security for like the 1-stack decks. You could definitely try to bump this up, but I'm not honestly sure what I would cut. You might have to cut like Akari if you want to play like extra Wyverns, but then of course if we're talking about side decks, you can always side the last couple copies of Wyverns. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the deck. Let me know what you think down in the comments below of the yellow hybrid deck. I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to playing it, but I have a suspicion as the format goes on, we're going to grow a little bit tired of it. But there's definitely a lot of counters out there. Red and green are pretty hard matchups for this deck, so maybe if you're expecting a lot of yellow at your locals, you might try one of those more aggressive decks. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.